In the headlines, River State Governor Wike vows not to leave People's Democratic Party. University lecturers defy order, waiting for union directives to return to classrooms. President Buhari says Nigeria can be a major supply chain partner to global economies like the US. And on the foreign scene, US aircraft carrier arrives in South Korea as warning to North. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. We begin with politics, where Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has declared that he will not leave the People's Democratic Party for anyone, no matter what happens. He said he is interested in maintaining party prudence and will remain in the party to fight for the enthronement of unity, inclusiveness and peace in the party. Governor Wike stated this at the Rivers State PDP stakeholders meeting at Government House, Port Harcourt. He insists that the constitution of the party clearly explains how elective and party offices are to be occupied. Governor Wike wondered why the former PDP Board of Trustees chairman will be pressured to resign, and the PDP national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu, is excusing himself from the same. The governor urged party members to be steadfast because God is on their side. And since they have not known defeat, PDP cannot be defeated in the 2023 general elections in Rivers State. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has struck out a suit instituted against the People's Democratic Party seeking to enforce the zoning and rotary policy in the 2023 presidential election. In a unanimous judgment delivered by Justice Adamu Jauro on Friday, the court struck out the suit on the ground of lack of jurisdiction to entertain it. A presidential aspirant of PDP and former Deputy Speaker of Abia State House of Assembly, Cosmos Ndukwe, had instituted the suit against his party, praying for an order of the court to compel it to uphold the zoning and rotary policy of the party. Specifically, the presidential aspirant sought for an order of the court to compel the PDP to zone the nomination of his presidential candidate to the southeast geopolitical zone of the country. However, Justice Jauro dismissed the suit on the ground that the nomination of candidates for election was an internal affair of political parties. And former Minister of Youth and Sports Solomon Dalung has stormed the Chief Magistrate Court 4 in Yola, Adamawa State to seek justice for Lawan Uba, who was remanded for over 40 days. Lawan Uba, an Adamawa-based politician, has been in detention for allegedly insulting Governor Ahmadu Umar Fintiri. Salis Lawan has the report.
Nigerian citizen who always stands for justice, he cannot afford to allow a fellow citizen to be denied justice, saying that Lawan ought not to have been in prison because the offense is bailable in nature. He challenged Adamawa State Judiciary to rise up and ensure that the justice delivery system is not in any way compromised or allowed to be politicized, and vowed to ensure justice for the detained politician.
I am satisfied that justice will be done ultimately based on the argument I have listened and the presentation made before the church. I have confidence in the judiciary in Nigeria. They remain the bastion of the common man.
A.A. Lawan Uba was arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Court, presided by Magistrate Aminu Abdul Qadir Maiha, for defamation of character and several other offenses which he denied committing. Lead counsel to the defendant, Robert Mosif Ave, argued that the comments made by his client were not defamatory.
We are submitting that from the evidence led by the prosecution, that is the state, the Commissioner of Police, no prima facie case has been made against the defendant to warrant the court calling on him to open a defense. In a situation like this, if the court is calling on the defendant to open a defense where there is no evidence which disclose any case against him, is akin to asking the defendant to prove his innocence, which is contrary to the Constitution. My client should be patient, and the public should also be patient. We wait for the outcome of the ruling, and then from there we'll advise them on the next step.
However, the prosecution counsel declined to comment, saying he needed clearance from his superior before speaking to the press. A. Lawan Woba has been in detention after he was accused of sharing videos in which he claimed Governor Fintri betrayed those who helped him win the 2019 election. Meanwhile, the State Magistrate Court 4 has adjourned till Monday, 26 September 2022 for ruling on no case submission filed by counsel to the defendant, A. Lawan Woba. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Members of the National Peace Committee met in Minna to chart a new course for peaceful conduct of the 2023 elections. The meeting called on political parties and their supporters to build their campaigns on issues rather than attacking the personality of political opponents. Chairman of the committee, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, addressed the media after the meeting, which lasted for over 2 hours in his Uphill residence. The report.
The meeting had in attendance Sultan of Sokoto Saad Abubakar, Bishop Hassan Kuka, the INEC chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, Aliko Dangote, among other members of the committee. General Abubakar said that first peace accord will be signed on September 29th in Abuja to commit all political parties, presidential candidates and their spokesperson to peaceful political campaigns and rallies. He said the second peace accord, which would come up shortly before the elections, is intended to commit candidates to accepting the outcome of the votes as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair and credible.
So the essence of this meeting is to arrange for the signing of peace accord for free and fair campaigns. This time around we are preparing to have two signing of the accord. One is for the presidential candidates, sometimes in January, to sign an accord that they will accept the result of the election if they feel it is free and fair.
Abubakar, however, called on electorates to come out to participate in the electoral processes and desist from vote selling during elections. The committee then emphasized the need to promote a culture of healthy issue-based campaigns and political communication. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, called for support of the media towards achieving peaceful conduct of the 2023 elections.
We briefed the National Peace Committee on preparations for the 2023 general elections, which is only 156 days away from today. We also expressed our appreciation to the Peace Committee for devolving their intervention beyond the national elections to the off-season governorship elections, beginning with the Edo governorship election and all through until the last two governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun.
Yakubu wants political parties and candidates to conduct themselves in a manner that would bring about peaceful elections.
And despite the National Industrial Court ruling restraining ASUU from continuing the 7-month strike, lecturers are waiting for directives from the union for further action. Noel Sampson visits one of the universities in Abuja to see the level of compliance with the order.
The National Industrial Court of Nigeria has ruled that ASUU should call off their ongoing strike and resume work. But a visit to this university that is always bustling with activities is eerily quiet, showing no sign of work resumption. Classrooms and most offices empty, enveloped in dust, and the once spacious environment that was covered with students and petty traders mingling with different activities is now covered with grass and termites. A lecturer in the university spoke on the court ruling.
My personal opinion is that ASUU should actually appeal that judgment so that by the time we get to the Supreme Court, we get the final verdict. Then at that time, because one thing we can assure you is that ASUU is law abiding. ASUU has a process. Actually, when the judgment comes, the National Executive will have to go back to notify all branches. Branches must also have Congress meetings. So at the end of the Congress meeting, they will pass that information that, okay, this is the court decision, and then what's the next line of action. I'm sure it will be discussed exhaustively at all ASUU branches nationwide. With or without the strike, actually, lecturers come in. Like I come in today not because I'm complying with any order that the university should be open. I have my other, research things to do. I have other my academic activities to do. So I'm sure colleagues usually come, with or without the order. But I don't really know because the order just came in, I think, yesterday. So today is just the first day after the announcement of the order. So I wouldn't know, possibly. Some may just come to say, okay, what's happening?
Moving from the academic, those petty traders who depend on the students to make a living said absence of academic activities has affected them negatively.
If ASU will respond to what the court say, because we staying back home, all this while has affected our business. And not only us, even the students that are supposed to have moved forward, they are still held back because of the strike. So if the ASU president will adhere to what the court ruling is and they come back to school to do, be very good.
Our reaction about this strike typically was, thank God, we see some moves from government, we see some move from societies and associations and so on.
Observers said, while ASU and the federal government seem to be at a deadlock and adamant, Nigerian students are the receiving end. They said it is the future and the future of this great nation that is at stake. Therefore, a amicable solution must be reached. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Residents of New Market in Jos North local government area of Plateau State have accused the police officers attached to the C Division of killing a 16-year-old boy, Usman Bala, and injuring 2 others in the area. Ado Musa gathered that the remaining victims who were shot in their legs are currently receiving treatment at Bingham Hospital in Jos. The report.
According to the resident, the incident occurred on Wednesday evening after a police officer suddenly opened fire at some people who were plying around the area. Naziru Isa Nasali witnessed the incident. The police often come from C Division to station at New Market Junction, but in the last 5 days, youth in the area have complained about how they come to molest tricycle riders and impound their tricycles. So, when they come and seize a tricycle, the youth started shouting at them to stop, and before you know it, the police opened fire at people. They shot one in the stomach and 2 others in the leg. The father of the deceased, Muhammad Bala, while explaining how he received the news of the killing, described the incident as an unfortunate and called on the police authority to prosecute the officers. On Wednesday, after we observed the last prayer of the day, I was called that I should come to Bingham Hospital, and I asked why. They said I should just come. On getting there, I was told that my child was shot dead by the police. No security personnel has so far come to my house to talk about the incident. The police commissioner should wade into the matter and unravel the circumstances behind the killing. My son was innocent. He is a leather worker, and he went to a shop around the area to buy water gum to make some bags. The spokesperson of the State Police Command, Alabo Alfred, while confirming the incident, denied that the police went to the area to seize any tricycle, adding that, based on the recent killing of 2 market security guards in Jos, the police went to secure the area before they were attacked by some. The ward head of Abba Nashehu, Nasiru Kawu, called on residents of the area to remain calm, as all necessary action will be taken to ensure justice for all parties. We are not happy with what has happened. It is indeed worrisome. I made the necessary contact to calm the situation. We are working to ensure that the matter does not escalate, and in doing so, we will not take law into our hands. The resident called on the State Police Commissioner, Bartholomew Onyeka, to take action against the officers who shot the victims, and also urged all stakeholders, including the state government, to investigate the circumstances surrounding the incident. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
You are watching Trust TV News Update. And still ahead on the news. How clock repairing is fading out in Nigeria. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us.
Which kind of wire you gonna need to light up your light? Oh man, the quality wire. Now which kind of cable you gonna need to light up your house? Oh man, the quality cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman tank. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Coleman. come and see. Now come and be the Baba. Oh man, won't light up your light. Now come and be the Baba. Come and see. Now come and be the COLEMENA. Quality, quality. Put a bull, put a bull. Now come and be the Baba.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's take another look at our top stories. Rivers State Governor Wike vows not to leave People's Democratic Party. And lecturers defy order, waiting for union directive to return to classrooms. And in other news, residents of Jigawa State say the flood witnessed in the state is the worst since there have been in recent times. The residents told Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril that the flood is submerging many farming communities, destroying crops and houses across, raising fears of food shortages. His report.
For 2 long weeks, flood water have covered large part of Jigawa State. Farmland and damaged roads have become temporary fishing grounds. Like now, I'm fishing here. If God help me to get enough, I will go and sell. If I couldn't get so much, then I'll just take it home for my family to eat. With their crops rotting underwater, their homes and schools submerged, many affected farming communities are now taking refuge in nearby government facilities. Authorities say hundreds and thousands of them have seen this year's harvest wiped out.
Then the rainfall started, and as a result of the rainfall, there was a heavy rainfall about 3 days in Jigawa State. That rainfall affected all the local governments because the rainfall was there everywhere in the 27 local governments we have. So as a result of that rainfall, so many houses and so many people were killed.
In our local government area alone, authorities say thousands of farmlands have been washed away and that over 400,000 people are affected by the flood disaster. Definitely there is going to be a food shortage because, as I am telling you, 60% of the food that we are getting in this entire northern Nigeria is from this Hadejia axis. Now the farmlands have been washed away, therefore we could not get anything. For now, things are getting more complicated. Hundreds of villages are being submerged, farmlands washed away, and farmers say they fear the worst. Houses are gone, farmlands are gone. What do we eat? You can see that we don't have homes, we don't have, our farms have been washed away, so what do? There is no food for us to eat. If the irrigation farming comes, we don't have money to buy the fuel for the irrigation. What do? 1 bag of maize is 20,000 naira. 1 bag of fertilizer is 25,000 naira. What do you think we should do? While residents continue to flee for safety, the flood waters continue to take over the entire Hadejia Emirates. There are growing concerns
that things could get worse in the next coming days. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Jigawa.
Watch repairers, also known as horologists, are facing extinction, especially with the advances being made in the production of mobile phones. Advances in technology mean less people are using wristwatches and clocks, which may spell doom for the craft of horology. Jimmy Azandi spoke to some repairers in Makurdi who lament the situation.
The watch repairers are of the view that the invention of mobile phone was not in their best interest. Rather than upgrade, some have abandoned the trade while others have diversified to be able to pay bills.
I've been in the business for quite some time now. And however, the way the thing is now, it's not like before in terms of patronage and customership. Because unlike before when they break, you know that before 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you know how much you are supposed to have in your pocket. But now, at times you use a whole year, whole month, you cannot even recover anything. Unlike before, we don't used to have handsets, all these gadgets, we don't use them. But now, due to all those things now, the patronage of wristwatch repair has gone drastically down. As a result of that, we have to diversify.
Some of the repairers have requested that timepieces be removed from the phones to make way for their jobs.
So why would they get to work before? Now the thing, they like that. Because handset now, plenty. Many of people wear wristwatch, now they know they wear that. Like before you could see one person with a 5 watch, 4 watch, 3 watch. But now, they like it before.
The wristwatch business is moving before. Moving fasterly. The volume of the wristwatch business is way increased before. But right now, I don't know. Since where assets come out, people know normally. I'm telling them I'm repairing, both the two. But this is where assets come out. It doesn't move like before. I don't know the reason whether the company manufacturer can able to remove the time for wristwatch.
On their part, residents of Makurdi gave divergent views on wristwatches. Some feel the fashion is outdated, while others say the wristwatches serve a unique function.
So the reason why I don't have a wristwatch is because these days wristwatches have become more of a fashion item. Because you have your phone, you can always take a glance at it and know exactly what time it is. Phones have become everything. It's your planner, it's your calendar, you don't need to hang a calendar in your office anymore. Just like you don't necessarily need a wall clock or a wristwatch.
The watch is my fashion that I used to tie always. Even if this one spoiled today, in the next 3 hours, I'll still look for a wristwatch because it has cost my blood. At times, the phone may shut up, the battery may go down, and you still have your wristwatch at your hand. You don't need of asking your colleagues what is the time before you. There are some phones, if they are not set by the network, it is not all the place that you can, when the battery has got shut down before you set the watch of the phone, it will be difficult. But if you are with the wristwatch, you can know the time throughout.
Once upon a time, wristwatches were essential to fashion, but that was before the mobile phone era. At the moment, it appears most people have stopped using them and the repairers are suddenly going into oblivion.
Some motorists in Lagos have urged the state government to give proper orientation to its personnel saddled with the task of traffic regulation across the state and create more public awareness regarding traffic management and control. Abbas Alibi now reports.
Road traffic regulators across the country are supposed to make enforcement of traffic rules more effective. Some motorists in Lagos says that the traffic regulators are more focused on generating revenue through multiple fines on infractions, many of which motorists are not aware of.
The essence of traffic is to control human behaviors, create free flow of movement of vehicles. But what they are doing, they are even add more injury to more suffering to the injury. They even cause more traffic. You see, and causing more traffic is you are not even preventing safety. You are abusing the security and the safety of the road users. because a situation whereby a law enforcement is dragging just because a simple correction that they should do.
Even last month, I paid 10,000 naira. Why I pass Ikeja along? No, now only Okada with the band. Say make Okada no apply express. But our own, nobody abandoned us. So almost throughout last week, there's very serious issue for that place. But sometimes there's serious traffic. You need to concentrate on the traffic. They're on target. Immediately you get a little bit mistake, they are going to take you. There's nothing like say whether maybe you don't know or you know. You don't hold it.
People will now block us on the road that we are following express. Like about 3 months ago, they caught about 4 tricycle and they collected 40,000 naira from each tricycle, which has no account.
But Lagos State government has justified its recent action of 134 impounded vehicle owned by traffic violators in the state. The action attracted mixed reactions from Nigerians, with some describing it as harsh. However, the Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General of the state, Moyosore Onigbanjo, insisted that the action followed due process.
When you are wrong, you need to be guided, you need to be informed, you need to be corrected. But all what they're after, they want even you to make that mistake so that they can make more money from you. And it's an abuse. It is obvious now is that it's either to generate more money to the government or more money for their pockets.
With what they are doing now, they are not for us at all. They are just there for their own pocket. For what they are doing presently, they are not for the safety of the members of the community. If they can take them away from the road and at least reorganize another body that will take care of the road for the road safety, I think that one will be better. They should give them orientation.
Now for a look at the foreign scene, where the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan has arrived in South Korea ahead of a joint military exercise that is seen as a show of strength amid growing North Korean threats. The Ronald Reagan and ships from its accompanying strike force docked at the naval base in southern port city of Busan on Friday. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.